I'm curious on what's the biggest challenge you ladies face when it comes to doing a sleek ponytail. Because I've been doing it for so long now, I kind of feel like anybody can accomplish the ponytails like I do. I will lay out the steps and the tips that have helped me become who I am today in the pony industry. So for starters, before anything, you need to be starting on fresh, clean hair, free from any product or oils. Then before you even straighten the hair, you need to make sure that the hair is thoroughly blow dried like her hair. And honestly, her hair could have even been a little bit more blow dried, but I know how to work with it like this. Next, you need to make sure that you are investing in your hot tools. You cannot expect to get the hair straightened if you're using a $10 flat iron. Like, be for real. You should be investing in your business and getting good hot tools. I personally like the babyless flat irons, which I am using here, and they are linked in my Amazon storefront. Then you must understand technique and the products that are needed for the certain hair type. These go hand in hand. For instance, when I'm doing a 3-part ponytail, I like to do the ponytail in sections. And each section, I'm doing the same exact technique. I'm using a product that works for the certain hair type, which in this case is the Clear Murray's beeswax, which also, in my opinion, works for all hair types, at least when it comes to doing ponytails. So as you see I'm doing here, I sectioned off the back portion of the ponytail. I took the Clear Murray's beeswax and I'm combing that thoroughly throughout the section. I then use my cheetah edge brush to get any excess out and get the rest of the product throughout the section. The next part of my technique is taking an any-size 64 rubber band and putting my ponytail in a temporary hold. This makes it 10 times easier when I'm molding that hair with the even hairspray to go exactly where I want it to go. This is technique, guys. I switched up my ponytails to doing them this way, which makes it easier for me and gets me the same consistent results. Of course, when you start this, you're going to have to do what works best for you, but this is what works best for me. Another part of my technique is working in little sections with the hairspray. If you see, I started at the top part of the ponytail and then I work my way to the back or underneath the ponytail. When I'm molding the hair, I use pressure from my hands to keep the hair nice and laid. And I gradually slide my hand up to dry that whole section, using my blow dryer on warm to cool settings. Now, when you get to this back part, make sure that your client's hair is nice and straight up. This is going to ensure that the back does not curl up and it's sleek even in the part where there is like a curve inward. All these little things play a part in skills and technique. Now, when you get majority of that ponytail sleek, you're going to take out your temporary scrunchie and you're going to smooth around that scrunchie. You're going to put it back in, and with these scrunchies, the any-size 64 is going to have the best grip, making it very easy to put that scrunchie back in. And once you finish one part, then you can move on to the next part. We were doing the 3-part ponytail, so here I am sectioning off that V part in the middle, making sure that the part is nice and straight, which plays a big part in the clean look of a ponytail. And then I go with that same technique, y'all, using my Clear Murray's beeswax in the section, just focusing on this one section at a time, making sure it's consistent throughout the whole section, and then I comb that throughout the section nice and thorough. Before I go in with any hairspray, I take out the edges that we're going to use. Then I proceed to thoroughly brush that section to the back where I want it to go, which is all about technique. Mold it where you want to go before you actually use the hairspray. And then I go with my even hairspray. I use the red can, and I sleek the hair down along the side of the head. Using a little bit at a time, guys. A little bit goes a long way. Keep in mind, this is hairspray, so once it's dry, it's hard to move. If it makes it easier for you guys, get your clients to hold their ear down. There's nothing wrong with that. And take your time. That plays a big part, at least for me. I understand you want to rush and get somebody out so you can get the next client in. What's that to your business if you have all these clients, but half of them are dissatisfied? Once I blend this section with the section in the back, I use 2 small rubber bands and I join it with the ponytail in the back, making sure it's nice and flat and making sure it doesn't look like a whole nother section. Then I do the same exact thing to the opposite side, and then I finish off with the middle section, doing the same technique, going in with the Clear Murray's beeswax, thoroughly combing it through. Here you'll see I even take the middle part in 2 different sections, because it's all about taking your time and making sure everything is consistent. I'm cracking up. I know you guys see me using the Got to Be glue spray. I started running out of the red even, and I wanted to make sure I was using red even on the top part, so I was using the Got to Be glue spray in the inner parts. I personally like doing the middle section in 2 parts because you want that thing to be flat as possible. You do not want it to look like they're having a hump, especially if you're dealing with thicker hair. You need to make sure it's flat. Always make sure you're doing your temporary hold first before going in with that hairspray. It makes it much easier to mold the hair nice and right to where you want it to go. You're doing this middle section in the front, make sure you're actually standing right in front of them like you see me doing. It makes a big difference because you do not want it to be crooked or anything. Doing the same thing, taking your spray, laying it down with your hand and your brush and blow drying it. When you're adding other sections, always use the little rubber bands. You do not want to have a really thick base when you go in to add that ponytail, and you don't want it to be too tight. Then I go in with a few mega rapids to wrap the whole ponytail while I'm doing my invisible ponytail. Now, this is a big part because you do not want your client's ponytail to fall off. Remember technique. I braid down my client's natural hair, and if it's a little long, I tuck it. I use a rubber band to keep that braid together if I tuck it. And I go in with 1 mega rapid, sometimes 2, making sure I wrap it around the top part first, then go down the braid. Wrapping it around the base at least 3 times, and then you go down the rest of the braid. Never start at the bottom and go up. Use rubber bands to secure that rapid. Once secure enough, I take a little bit of glue at the bottom, not too much. I take the very end of the bundle and I attach it and I dry that. I add more glue and I just wrap that bundle around the rapid braid, making sure that the glue is consistent throughout. This is going to make sure that no part of your ponytail will slip off or the whole ponytail will slip off. Do not get lazy at this part. You can have a good old sleek ponytail, and if this part looks messy, the whole ponytail looks messy. I don't care. Argue with somebody else. We were doing the Barbie ponytail, so I like using the purple pack hair when I'm doing the Barbie ponytail. I personally feel like it's a little more full than other bundles. When I get to the top, I stop it right before it touches the hair. Then I dry it and I take a little piece from underneath the ponytail. Never take it from on the top. And I take a little bit of edge booster and I smooth that around the track. You want this part to be nice and sleek. To make sure it doesn't unravel, take a little bit of glue and use that to secure the end. Take any hairspray, got to be glue, even, whichever, and make sure it is nice and dry. Please make sure your wraparound is nice and sleek and smooth. You can mess up your ponytail by having this part look a mess. And I went in and I straightened the whole ponytail. Then I cut the ends blunt because, like I said, we're doing the Barbie. And even if you weren't doing the Barbie ponytail, cutting the ends blunt makes the ponytail look much sleeker, in my opinion. And I flip the ends upward to give it that Barbie flip. I love me a Barbie flip. Then I used my Sebastian hairspray to get the flyaways down and took my little flat iron and curled the edges under. Here's another tip. Use hairspray for the edges, not edge control. Take a little bit of that even on an edge brush and mold the edges as if you were molding the ponytail. Mold them where you want them to go and dry them. Your edges will actually last this way. And boom, look in the mirror or show your client a mirror and see how much you killed it if you follow these steps. If I can do it and I'm sitting here laying down all the rules for you guys to get it right, why don't you think you can get it right? Try these tips and let me know if they help, and let me know what you guys want to see more of or hear more of.